I offer my most humblest pranams at the lotus feet of Sri Satya Sai Baba. Hi, this is Patty. I thought I'd share with you today some more experiences with my Guru, Sri Sai Maharaj. Already I told you about when I first met him and then when he came to my house and did so many beautiful miracles. Back in June 2013, 2 weeks after I had met Sri Sai Maharaj, I needed to go to court again in Hyderabad. You see, my husband and I were suing our builder who refused to register our house to us, even though we had paid in full. So I was needing to go to court at least 2 times a month for court hearings. This time I had to go for 3 days. So instead of staying at the Taj where I usually stayed, I decided to choose the spiritual alternative and stay at Shivam, which was Satya Sai Baba's residence in Hyderabad. I arrived there that morning, put my things in the room they had for me, went to court, and then returned. I thought I was going to have an incredible experience since I had had so many great experiences in the temple of Shivam. But this wasn't to be the case for me. I was there, but I felt blocked. I couldn't do my normal spiritual practice. I couldn't chant. I couldn't say prayers. In fact, I couldn't even think about God. I felt a lot of negativity, and I didn't know why. I couldn't imagine why, since I was in such a great place. So I stayed the night there, but the next morning I knew I needed to get out. I was dizzy, I was weak, and I was going downhill fast. So I called my husband and asked him if he could get me a room at the Taj, the one that was the closest to the court, and he did that. I went off to court, did my business for the day, came back, got my clothes, and then got my key to turn into the office. But even waiting for the man at the office seemed like a very long time because I was getting ready to faint. So I got a taxi. I went over to the Taj, had a nice lunch, and checked into my beautiful room and stayed there for the night, went to court the next morning, and then returned to Puttaparthi. So I thought whatever problems that I had in Hyderabad, feeling not good, were due to being at Shivam, and this I didn't understand. So about a week later, my friend Sue and I and another devotee went over to see Sri Sai Maharaj. We came into the house and he was in the kitchen cooking. So he called me in and he was stirring some sort of pot of beans. And he said, so Patty, with a real mischievous look on his face, he said, do you want something? And I didn't know what he was doing. The other devotees knew it, but at this time, they already came in and they're saying, say yes, say yes. I said, but I don't want any. No, I don't want anything. You know, I just want spiritual gifts. I don't want material things. And they're saying, say yes, say yes. And Sai's saying, Patty, do you want something? And I'm saying no. And they're saying, say yes. And finally, Sai said, last chance. And they were saying, say yes. And I said, yes. So he pulled out of the pot with his spoon this beautiful necklace. It was a multicolored japamala, and it was supposed to be the Navaratra mala and of the 9 gemstones of the 9 planets. It was beautiful. And I realized at that point that whatever gifts Sri Sai gives are spiritual gifts. So whatever he offers, I learned to take that and be thankful. He told me that this was to protect the wearer, so he told me to put it on, but it was dripping in bean goo at that point. And so I asked him if I could wash it off, and he said, no, it's got the divine energy on it. So I just put it over my head and wore it. The next day, Sri Sai and I are sitting on the floor in the hall, cutting green beans for dinner. The other devotees are there. He's not feeling very well this day because, you see, he had taken on somebody's disease upon himself, which he does quite regularly. He said that whenever one disease goes, the other one comes right into himself. And instead of just casting it off or clearing himself, he keeps it inside his body so it's done once and for all. And this disease needed IV drips in order to be cured. So he needed that, but he wasn't running off. He was with us that day. So he was kind of laying around, and so he put some dreamy music on, and so he told the other devotees to get up and dance. So they did that, and they're just kind of going like this, and it's all dreamy, and I'm looking down at the beans going, oh God, I'm so glad he didn't ask me, because, you know, I can't dance to music like that. So I'm chopping the beans, and then he goes, so Patty, you need to get up and dance too. And I said, what? Oh, well, you know, I'm not in the mood, you know, on and on it went. And he's insisting, and I'm bucking him, I'm arguing with him. Now, as a new devotee, I didn't realize you weren't supposed to do that. You shouldn't do that. When your guru says to do something, you should do it. But I didn't know. So I was arguing, and finally his tone changed. He wasn't joking anymore. He said, you get up and you dance. And I said, okay, but you need to change the music. So he did that. He put on some really good Bollywood music. Oh, it had a good beat. So I get up there. I start dancing for all I'm worth. At this point, I think I am dance incarnate. I'm Michael Jackson. You know, I'm making up new and creative dance moves on the spot. I'm leaping in the air. And all of a sudden, there was this loud crack that filled the air. I fell to the ground. And that sound was my thigh bone coming out of my hip socket. I was in pain. Sai was laughing. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm here, I'm on the ground, I'm in pain. He's laughing, I don't get it. Anyway, I couldn't walk. They carried me into the back room, put me on a mattress. So I'm lying there. Sai comes in and he says, do you want to go to the hospital? I said, no. You know, I didn't know what I wanted, but I was quite sure I didn't want to go to an Indian hospital. So I'm laying there. He leaves the room. Then he sends in one of his devotees who's a massage therapist, and he's told her to massage that hip area. Now, I don't want anybody to touch it. I don't know what's happened. I'm in pain. You know, actually, I was going into shock, I think, and I was shaking all over. I was extremely cold. I don't know what's going on. So then he comes back in, and he says, okay, what has happened is that your builder has sent black magic against you. Now, I don't even believe in black magic. I didn't know such a thing existed. So I don't know what to think. And this does happen in India. And my friend Sue said she could see this solid stream of heavy black negativity going right into my hip joint. And he said, what is supposed to happen is that you're going to go to the hospital. You're going to have an operation. They're going to botch the operation. And you're going to be in the wheelchair for the rest of your life. This was the plan. He said, but because of your good karma, Swami and I are going to take 90% of this. You only have to deal with 10%. He said, and I'm going to heal you. I'm going to send you energy, and that's going to heal you. He said, and the reason why you were feeling so bad at Shiva is because he had already sent that black magic to you there, and it was affecting you. That's why you were so sick. But I felt that. He said, and by the time you got to the Taj, I was protecting you. And all these days, until you could get back here in my presence, I have been holding back this torrent, this absolute tsunami of black, heavy negativity, so this could happen in my presence. Oh my God. And then he said, and the reason I was laughing was to dispel that negativity. That just breaks it up. I said, oh my goodness. So he said, I'm only going to send this energy to you once. I cannot send it again. So you need to not waste it. You need to not re-injure yourself. You be careful. I said, okay, I will. I will. So, you know, that happened around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I swear, all day long, I started feeling better. Every hour, I felt better. And by 11 o'clock that night, when we went to bed, I say I was about 90% of the way back. Still, I couldn't walk. I needed a broom. I used a broom as a cane to support my weight, but it was good, you know, and I think by the end of the day, I didn't even need that. That was the miracle. He was healing me so fast too. So the next day, he went to take care of himself. He went to go get his IV drips, which he needed. Here he was in bad shape and he was helping me. So it was time for him to go off. So he left, but he left Sue in charge of me and left a big bundle of spiritual energy for her. And she said she bound this area with like a divine bandage to keep this thigh bone in that socket. And I must admit, whenever I went to get up or move the wrong way, it wanted to pop out again. So that was true. So she kept me still the whole day. We sat and we sang devotional songs and I played my guitar. She sang with me. But it was kind of difficult at his place. He had an Indian bathroom and I had to go outside to wash my dish. So I was looking for a few conveniences. So the next morning, Sai still hadn't returned. He was still getting IV drips, I hear. And so I asked permission if we could go to Puttaparthi, and he said yes. So Sue and I left, and we got to my house, and she brought everything down from the upstairs bedroom to the downstairs bedroom so that I could be down there and not be inconvenienced. She took care of everything. She made sure that I was fed. She made sure that everything was taken care of in such a beautiful, loving way. And then Sai came that very night with the boy he calls his son, the boy he's adopted. And so he came and went and spent the night in that upstairs bedroom with that boy because he said that's where all the negative energy of that house was concentrated. So he came down the next morning and he said, I was attacked. They attacked me all night. I barely got any sleep. He said that it scared the boy who was with him, and Sai had a gash on his leg where he had fought that negativity during the night. But he said that he had made an agreement with them that they were not going to attack anybody while they slept. But I could see already he was working. He was trying to neutralize and get rid of all that negativity in the house. He was working so hard. And he probably came that night before just to protect Sue and I who had just arrived. So he spent the morning there, and at one point he called everybody upstairs because he wanted to get a printout of a beautiful picture that had divine energy streaming out of it. It was one of his pictures, and he asked me if I could print it. I said, yes, of course, but my printer's upstairs. I can't go upstairs. He said, no problem. Take my hand. So I did. I walked up the stairs like nothing happened. Oh my gosh. Went up there, printed the picture, went to go back downstairs, took one step. Oh God, terrible pain in my hip. He says, put your hand on my shoulder. I did that. I walked down like I was normal. No pain at all. This was a great miracle. So he left for a while that day and then returned and was leaving for the day. But before he left, he put a lot of divine energy into his chair, and he told Sue and I that was for us. And he left the beautiful smell of Amrita in the house on the footstool. And he told me that I needed to get a back brace to put low on my hips to help keep that hip bone in place. And so I did that. And Sue stayed about 3 or 4 days to help me. And I figured out how to go up and down the stairs when I had to, only when I had to. And I just take one step at a time, you know, baby steps, and that seemed to work. But all in all, it took about 6 months for that to heal. I never had to get an operation. It was all healed by the divine healing. Even though at the time, I thought that was the end of it with the healing of this hip. It really wasn't. That 10% I had to deal with, I didn't realize was also my karma. Because of having this weakened hip, it caused me to have a knee injury, and I ended up with 2 knee operations. So this was bigger than I imagined. But you know, all this time, Sri Sai has always been there for me. That day, he was asking me to go up and down the stairs so I could print out that picture for him. Sue said that she saw that he was actually sending me energy, trying to heal me. And then when I had this knee injury, I was at his house. I was in the back room there lying on the cot, and I had just terrible bursitis. It was almost unbearable pain. He came in. And what could he do? If he could have, he would have taken that from me in a flash. That's his nature. That's his compassion. But he couldn't. That was my karma to deal with. And so what did he do? He danced. He danced around me like Krishna. He had everything going there but the flute. He was Krishna. So he was trying to lighten my load, make me laugh because I had to go through this. So I'm realizing that karma is this rocky path before us that we have to walk. But the Guru can throw the rose petals on your path before you to lessen the blow to your feet. So we don't have to be miserable as we go through our karma. We can laugh. And that's what he's doing for me. He was always there in the operating rooms with me in his divine form, helping me. He's sending me energy constantly. He's always there. So even though I'm going through this path of karma in this life, he's lessening my load. So I just want to thank him. I want to thank Sri Satya Sai Baba, knowing that with God and Guru in your life, anything is possible. Sayonara.